gonna build me a boat with these two hands. It'll be a fair curve from a noble plan. Let the chips fall where they will, 'cause I've got boats to build.
Nashville No More.
Yeah.
So what brought this on?
Well, I had to close my studio down. I had a studio called the Butcher Shop in Nashville where a lot of people recorded, and I had to close it down because they sold the buildings. John Prine and I opened the place together back in 2005.
Man, he just keeps coming up in so many conversations. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, he and I were partners in that studio, and we were really close friends. And so they sold the buildings, and Prine passed away, and so this kind of kicked the wind out of the place. So I closed it down and took my mixing stuff, my console and my reverbs and that, and put them in an outbuilding at my house on my property. And then COVID, this was in the middle of the COVID pandemic, and last July, not just this July, but July of 20. And I didn't have anything to do, so I started digging through my recordings and found a bunch of stuff that I'd done over the years, and I just decided that I needed something to do, so I just thought I'd finish it, and that's kind of how it happened. I really wasn't making a record for the public per se. I was just putting something together for my mom, really,
Right.
And I sent it to kind of finished it up, and then I sent it to my friend Matt Sweeney, and he went nuts over it, and then contacted the good guys at Fat Possum, and they wanted it. So here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
The only thing that starts out with a nice version of Four Strong Winds is okay in my book. I love that song.
Thank you, man. I love that song. And there's so many different versions of it. Bobby Bear had kind of the definitive Nashville version of it.
Right.
And he did it a different way. He did it with just 3 chords, a 1, 4, and a 5, or he just did it with 3 chords. And then I recorded it on Johnny Cash years ago for one of the American recordings. And that was the way I do it, is the way he played the chords.
Right.
So none of them are right. None of them are the way that Ian Tyson, does it. But, it's still the same tune. It's just the chords are a little different.
Yeah. So that kind of answers the question I was going to have, which was, I know you did a lot of engineering and producing and whatever with other artists. How does that affect your own music? So just the fact that you kind of have taken your version from Johnny, I guess, answers that.
Yeah, well, a couple of things are, all those songs are songs that I either heard while I was engineering at Jack Clement's place, which I was engineer there for a really, really long time. That's where I started.
Very cool.
And he was my mentor.
Right, man.
And so some of those songs are the ones that I've actually made the original demos on when I was young.
Right.
And this. So I, go through the house and I'd listen, hear Jack playing those songs in his office because we love the songs,
Sure. Yeah.
So there's three of them that are pretty much that are really kin to each other in that way, and that's Looking for Rainbows and Fellow Travelers and Nights with You. Those are songs that have a Roger Cook or a Charles Cochran or Alan Reynolds as the writers, which are all in the same family, basically.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So Looking for Rainbows and Fellow Travelers there's a co-writer on those, and like I just mentioned, Charles Cochran. Now, Charles wrote Looking for Rainbows with Roger Cook, and he wrote
Cook, yeah.
And then he wrote the other one, Fellow Travelers, with Alan Reynolds. So, but Charles had passed away in 2007, and he was a really, really close friend, and I worked with him a lot, and I had recorded his piano. He's playing piano on those because I had recorded his piano for his wife to sing those two songs at a wedding.
Okay.
And so I had those tracks, and they happened to be in my key.
Right.
And so that's the way they started out. And then I, put on the strings and the sing, all that stuff.
Yeah. I gotta ask you about Cowboy Jack Clement. I did have the pleasure of interviewing him briefly on the phone once a few years ago, but I don't think that even comes close to knowing who the guy was. What can you tell me about working with him? He took me in. I started working at his studio when I think I was 18 years old, or I was about 18, and I got a job there running errands, making a coffee in the morning, and I always wanted to be an engineer. I always wanted to be in the business, and I'd sneak in there and learn how to run the equipment. And then I became his closest, friend. I think we were inseparable for a really long time. I mean, he really took me under his wing and taught me how to do it. Man.
How to communicate with musicians. One thing, he was a real stickler for being on time. I mean, being late was totally unacceptable.
My kind of guy.
Well, I was just late for your.
That's all right.
But I was sitting here waiting. I got lost in the news. I was watching the news.
Yeah, that's fine.
It just slipped my mind for a second. So, Cowboy was an incredible singer and player. And songwriter. He wrote beautiful songs. He didn't write much in his latter years, but from like the 50s up through like probably the early 70s, he was pretty prolific, and wrote a lot of Charlie Pride song records, and in the 50s he wrote some stuff that he recorded on Jerry Lee and on Johnny Cash's son, and I was lucky enough to play him in a movie in 1988. I played him in this movie called Great Balls of Fire. Dennis Quaid played
Dennis Quaid played Jerry Lee. That's right.
Yeah. So
crazy film.
Yeah, I hung out with Cowboy a whole lot, and it was just when he passed away, it was just heartbreaking,
I can imagine.
But the studio has reopened, and his cousin has wound up with it, and the studio's great. In fact, I've been working there a lot recently.
Oh, cool.
And, I love it over there. In fact, Sturgill Simpson and we've done 3 records over there together, or 2 records over there together. We're going to start producing a girl over there starting tomorrow.
Sturgill, didn't he just release something? He's got another one out this week, doesn't he?
Yeah. I think it's called A Ballad of Dude and Juanita.
That's it. Yes.
And it's a story, I mean, it's a story about a kidnapping and a hunt and revenge,
And what did you have anything to do with that record?
Yeah, I produced it with him. Yeah, and mixed it. It's got some sound effects and stuff on it. It's got some gunfire and marching.
There you go. That's your main contribution. Need gunfire.
Well, yeah, I do whatever I'm told. Just try to make it entertaining.
All righty. Well, you have a track on your album called, was it Chardonnay, with Margo Price? So tell me a little bit about how that came about.
Okay, well, Chardonnay was actually It's a song written by Roger Cook, and he's got a co-writer on it. I couldn't tell you who it is, but it's a love song to a glass of wine. And and I had I made the original demo. I made a demo of the song one time with Roger, and I said, Roger, I love this song. You know, I said, this is great. It's just a really great, really cool song. And I don't know, a couple 3 years ago, I made a little work tape of it, you know, with just me and a drum machine. And I forgot about the song, and I ran across it, or I sent Roger my version of Nights with You. He's a writer on that. And he said, don't forget about Chardonnay. And I said, shit, I did forget about it, you know. So I found that, and that was one that was kind of really not much on it at all. Most of these were really naked up until, you know, July of over from July to like December, you know, I would go out every few days or something, or a couple of days in a row and work on them, you know, and that. But Sturgill and I had produced an album on Margo, and I played her the song. I sent her Looking for Rainbows, and I sent her that one, and I said, you know, want to sing one? Well, she called me immediately. She said, I'll sing on anything you want. She said, I love these songs. She said,
right. Oh, that's all right. That's what you want to hear.
Love that Chardonnay song. And so a couple of days later, she came over in the pandemic, and Margo's one of them that she doesn't let stuff like pandemic slow her down very much. You know, she's like pregnant, and everything else, you know, or she had just had her baby not long before that. And but Margo's a real treat. She's a great gal. Cool. I was lucky, and she just came over and we played around with it, and she sounds great on that thing. I enjoy her on there.
Very cool. So what's the plan now? Are you going to be recording more, or are you working on some sessions with somebody? Anything exciting going on?
Well, I'm working with these. In fact, you're in New Zealand, right?
I am.
So there's some couple of guys called the Davison brothers. I don't know. I think they do pretty well in Australia.
Okay.
I know you're not Australia, but
that's all right.
But you're in the same vicinity. You're in the same.
We are in the vicinity. That's a fact.
And so I've been working with those guys, producing them with a fellow named Brent Cobb. Who's really
yes,
great. He's a
really with that name.
Yeah, he's great too. He's a jewel. And then Sturgill and I are working. We're going to start with this girl, Brittany Taylor. Tomorrow, she's from the same part of Kentucky as Sturgill is, like Tyler Childers. You know,
right.
Same kind of little area there. And then Dan Auerbach and myself, we just finished up a John Anderson tribute record, but I don't know if we're supposed to talk about that or not.
Okay, well,
I'm not sure.
Well, yep. And his
are
stuff
we
has
on,
been
are we on
cranking.
live?
He's got his label doing all sorts of stuff. Dan does. So,
man, I'll tell you what, that guy is so talented. I did. He and I produced about 4 or 5 records together. He's just super talented guy, you know. I mean, he's just really got music in him, you know, and he's such a good singer. I mean, he's so much better than the simple blues, you know. I mean, he's really got. There are people who are really born with it, and that guy's really born with it.
Right.
You know?
So when you produce something with someone like that, are there qualities in their production capabilities that are different than yours that you kind of want to put together? How do you work like that?
Well, so when you co-produce something with somebody, you choose the songs together.
Right.
Sometimes you make a list when you're not together, and then you get together and compare the lists, and the ones that you both have on the list or probably should be recorded.
Yep.
And then lean on each other to make sure you get the artist in the right key and the right tempo. And when you co-produce with somebody, it doubles your musician power. So a producer is a lot like a movie director,
right?
So say Quentin Tarantino. I'm not comparing myself with Tarantino,
right.
but he has his cast that he uses on almost every movie.
Right. That's true.
And so does Scorsese. And
yep.
So these people, they have their cast of characters and they dress them up different and, put them in their movies,
Yep.
So producers are that way with musicians. They have a cast of musicians and they know what those musicians do. And so you don't have to ask one of them to do something that they're not comfortable doing. So,
right.
So when you co-produce, you have this producer's cast of musicians and then you have yours. So yep. you double your dipping pool,
right.
And it's kind of nice. It's nice. And then you tag team them, like you get sit and listen to them sing or cut or whatever. And then, he can go take care of a couple of phone calls and I can do it for a while. And then I can go take care of a couple of phone calls.
There you go. That's the way to work.
Whatever.
Get everything taken care of. Now we're running out of time because I've got another one coming up here, but I just want to touch on the last song, Hard Times Come Again No More. Is that a Stephen Foster song?
Let us pause in life's pleasures and count its many tears while we all sup sorrow with the poor. There's a song that will linger forever in our ears. Oh, hard times come again no more.
Yes, it is. And it is. And I heard that song a really long time ago. Some friends of mine recorded it for a Civil War documentary or something back 35 years ago or something. And
right.
I liked the song the first time I heard it because I thought that verse about the pale drooping maiden is just so beautiful,
Yeah.
And Stephen Foster is one of the greatest writers of all time. I think his songs are really beautiful and timeless.
Yep.
I mean, for the most part. I mean, it's hard to know exactly what he had in mind because we don't have any recordings of it.
Right.
Yeah. So, but we do know people who can read music really well, and they
right.
Most of it's notated really well. And so my friend Mark Howard, who is one of the guys that I learned that song from, he's a highly educated musician and can really, he's a real stickler for what's on the paper.
Gotcha.
If he his mind to it. And so I don't know how close I am to the way it should be, but it's the way I do it. And
there you go.
And it's really pretty song. And Sierra Hull and her husband, Justin Moses, and Mike Rojas plays a beautiful pump organ on that song. Yeah. And then Stuart Duncan plays violin. But yeah, I really love that song. I think it's beautiful.
Nice way to end the record. Well, thank you for talking to me. I better wrap it up because who knows what's going to happen next year.
Well, you're a nice enough feller. I really appreciate you even wanting me to do it.
Oh, come on. There you go.
You guys be safe and wear your masks.
Yep. You too. Have a great day. See you.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.